Krieger from the Doors, and you're watching Studio Q.
Kirsta Teague. Ron and I are down here by the lake. It's absolutely beautiful outside. Spring is just around the corner, everyone.
We've been swimming.
Oh, we will be swimming soon.
We'll be swimming soon. Get out the shorts. We're blinded down here because of all the snow, so we'll be squinting for the entire show. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And in your honor, we've provided a great show today with stories on Colors Night, Naomi Wolf, the Commerce Formal, and a whole host of others.
But first, here's reporter Leekha with an update on what's happening in the GSS.
With 12 days left in office, the GSS Council tried to impeach the president. Here's the story.
How will you ever imagine that people will try to do this to you 12 days before the end of your term?
Anger and confusion. Those were the sentiments of Graduate Student Society President Olukayode Olusegun when he spoke to Studio Q yesterday. Just 2 days after a petition for his impeachment had been handed in to the Graduate Justice, he claims the GSS Council followed improper procedure while executing their own personal agenda.
I think it has to do with racial hatred, because I've been dealt with differentially. Even though I'm the president of the GSS, I always make sure, I still feel that the place is very hostile to me.
Olusegun, who is also the GSS representative to the AMS Assembly, was informed of the impeachment attempt with only 9 days remaining in office. His explanation? Racism. He alleges that the GSS Council has been looking for a reason all year to have him ousted. However, members of the Council have a different story. They deny his charges of racism, citing different reasons for their actions, such as abuse of funds and actions taken without Council approval. The GSS Constitution bylaws state that an impeachment proposal requires a petition with signatures of 10% of the graduate student population. Olusegun believes the petition was circulated under false pretenses.
So they were actually collecting signatures on false information. Some people else were told that I embezzled money, and if you, as a student, hear such allegations, you sign the form.
When asked to respond to Olusegun's allegations of misrepresentation, Trish Willink and other members of the GSS Council refused to appear on camera on the advice of the Human Rights Office. Olusegun has filed a racism complaint with that office on campus. He said he is concerned about next year's GSS president, Michael Arigbizola, who is also a visible minority. And as for the impeachment, with only 6 days left in office, the GSS will not have enough time to take the question to a referendum. That means Olusegun gets to serve out the rest of his term in office. For Studio Q, this is Leekha reporting.
Well, for the last ASUS General Assembly, even press passes couldn't get Studio Q into the door to observe the controversy surrounding Surface. Bringing us more, here's Steph Wilson.
More than 200 people showed up for the ASUS annual general meeting Monday night. They packed the Skylight dining room.
The topic was Surface, the sometimes controversial arts and science newspaper. The issue? Whether or not a referendum should be held to revoke student interest fees from the publication. As a General Assembly, the meeting was open to all arts and science students. But when Studio Q showed up to film the event, ASUS wouldn't let us. We returned a few hours later while the meeting was in recess. During the break, someone checked the ASUS Constitution and found the meeting was not properly advertised. This meant they'd have to do the whole thing all over again.
What will occur now is that everything that has occurred this evening is now declared null and void.
A brand new meeting has been set for April 6th, the day that was set aside for the proposed referendum. Advertisements will be placed in the Journal and Surface.
ASUS defended its move to restrict Studio Q's freedom, saying that the cameras made some students in the audience feel uncomfortable. They felt their personal safety might have been compromised if shown on air. I spoke to Lenore McAdam, producer of Studio Q, and asked her to comment on this incident.
Because this is a public place, Studio Q feels that we should have had unlimited access to filming, just like any other media organization should have had. We've set a precedent with AMS Assembly meetings. We filmed there Any concerns about personal safety, we would always listen to after the meeting, but the decision as to whether or not we film in a public place should be our own, and feel that this is an act of censorship.
A letter addressing these concerns has been sent to Kirsten Bowen, ASUS president. For Studio Q, I'm Stephanie Wilson reporting.
The Queen's Ballet and Jazz Club presented their year-end show at Duncan MacArthur Auditorium on Friday night. Performances range from ballet to old-fashioned swing. Queen's Medical Outreach held a special auction in the Lower Kingston on Friday afternoon. Numerous companies donated some great items, and all profits went to support Queen's medical and rehab students traveling to Guyana this summer. Every year, QMO sponsors this group, who provides mobile medical service to the Guyanese. Well, there's no need to watch the Academy Awards on Monday night because film's most prestigious awards have already been handed out. Queen's Film Department awarded Ninnies to its most talented movie makers on Tuesday night at the QP. The What's That Noise in the Bathtub Award was among the prestigious Ninnies handed out, going out to the new show Union Station. The Canadian Union of Public Employees demonstrated here at Queen's on Tuesday afternoon. The protest involved janitorial and maintenance staff here at Queen's, whose primary concern is job security.
The university is stalling at the negotiating table and won't give us a fair deal. They try to take a lot of takeaways from us, but we're not about to give up. Job security is our #1 issue. It's not a money issue, and that's what the university seems to think it is. We just want to be treated fairly.
Workers are threatening to strike if the university refuses to negotiate with the unions, and this breakdown could result in a reduction of services here on campus. Robbie Krieger, guitarist from The Doors, visited Queen's on Thursday. The musician, who worked with the legendary Jim Morrison, answered questions about his career from students and faculty.
No, we never.
Well, after a year of training and conditioning their bodies, Queen's varsity athletes recently sent out to wreck them.
Last night at the Ambassador Hotel was the annual Colors Night for Queen's athletes. And Jen Mondoux has more.
Mondoux has more.
The Ambassador Hotel was the site of the 57th annual Queen's Color Night Wednesday night, where rookie and veteran Queen's athletes alike gathered with coaches, managers, and trainers to say goodbye to another very successful year in sports. Queen's had a lot to be proud about last night. Besides our national CIAU title won by the Gales football team last fall, Queen's has also picked up 6 team conference championships in the past year. And one of the more notable of these was that of the women's water polo team. OUAA Coach of the Year Don Duffy explains why.
Well, actually, this is the first water polo championship that Queen's has ever won. So we're pretty excited about it.
Next on the agenda were individual awards given to Queen's athletes who have made outstanding contributions. The Jim Tate Trophy was awarded to Brad Albert for his exceptional contribution to men's team sports. Also on the list were rookie Sarah Leonard from track and field, as well as volleyball player Mike Spence, who both picked up the Alfie Pierce Trophy, much to their surprise.
I heard my name, I'm like, what did I win? I heard my name and I was so yeah, very excited, but very surprised. A lot of great athletes out there. So.
Veteran water polo players and co-captains Heather Gowan and Martha Wyatt were the 2 recipients of the Award of Merit Trophy. Despite the crucial role the 2 played on the team this year, they nonetheless stressed the importance of teamwork.
We had a fantastic time, a fantastic team that we couldn't have done without them. And together, I think we brought it all together and made it work.
The evening would not have been complete without a traditional yet somewhat uncoordinated demonstration of Queen's spirit. A warm-up, one might say, for the rug cutting that lay ahead.
This year's Color Night has given all of our athletes here at Queen's a chance to blow off a little steam without having to worry about practice the next morning. But for our graduating students, it's difficult to tell what they'll miss the most, being part of a Queen's team or participating in this colorful event. For Studio Q, this is Jen Mondoux reporting.
Yes, what's on where? At Alfie's this Tuesday night, the Shermans are opening up for the Watchmen. Wednesday, hey, catch this, Grammy nominee and blues guitarist Jimmy Johnson. This weekend at the Shot, he's Saturday hosting One Guy and a Mic. Yes, One Guy and a Mic. Tuesday is Blues Night. You can't miss at the Shot. AJ's this weekend, Thursday and Friday night, you can catch Toronto's Leslie Spit Trio. Saturday, Juice is opening for easy access. And Sunday, as in every Sunday, you can catch Wild Blues Yonder. Brouhaha. 6 cases of regular beer, $150. 6 cases of Brouhaha, $75. The choice is clear. Well, last Saturday there were 2 formals going on, the phys ed formal and the commerce formal. So we flipped a coin. That's phys ed's loss. So Studio Q's roving cameras went to the commerce formal at Grant Hall to check out what was happening. Here's Greg Warman with more.
Welcome to Paris, Grant Hall style. The French World Exposition was chosen as the venue for this year's Commerce 93 formal. It was a final hurrah for this group of budding young executives who will soon be facing the realities of being a member of the workforce. And knowing that their days of sleeping in and skipping classes would soon be behind them, everyone seemed determined to have a wild time.
We've been drinking for 7 hours. I mean, no, you don't pass that up.
After a brief reception at the faculty club, the soon-to-be graduates made their way to the quiet pub to warm up for the big event and to seriously reflect on the evening ahead.
Tonight looks like it's going to be a great night. I think we're in for a lot of trouble.
Everyone had an opportunity for picture-taking, for viewing a slideshow of class memories, and for showing off their tremendous fashion sense.
It's like art that you've been yeah, baby, you look beautiful.
From there, the party moved on briefly to the Shot, where more friends gathered for a few more drinks and a little pool. Studio Q's own Bruce Celery had some advice for his fellow graduates.
The trick is pacing, Greg. What you really have to do is think conceptually how much alcohol your body can take over a long duration of time.
Soon after, it was time for the actual formal. The French mystique overwhelmed the crowd, and soon there was much drinking, dancing, and drinking. Dean Miklas of the School of Business felt that this year's formal was different from what he had seen at previous formals.
I'm impressed by the fact that the students seem to be coming in more sober than usual. I think they're intending to have a better time here.
And it appeared that the dean was correct.
Having a good time?
You bet!
Just wanted to tell all you people that still have a liver, cheers.
And as the evening progressed, people danced more furiously and even began to sing a few hits of their own.
You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips.
Always something there to remind me what's your pleasure.
And some people gave lessons on bench building.
You know, this young lady built the bench that you people were sitting on.
We nailed it into the shape it is today, and then we stand it, and then we're seated.
When I asked many in the group what they felt the future held, the faculty that traditionally looks to the future had a wide array of answers.
Anyone watching out there? We need work. Hire us. We'll do a good job, we promise. Please.
Well, I want to take dance lessons at Barbizon.
Work.
Long hours. By 30.
Long hours and
long hours,
lots of
work, lots of money, and a good
reality.
time. Reality. It holds reality for us.
Income tax fraud, insider trading, big-time insider trading, and abuse of white-collar crime.
If I don't get a job with my commerce degree, I thought I would try and seek out a job in the carpentry field.
Whatever the future may hold for the graduating class of Commerce 93, Saturday's formal gave them a chance to remember the good friends, the weird times, and the exceptionally wonderful moments of inspiration that made the past 4 years at Queen's an amazing preview to life. For Studio Q, I'm Greg Warman.
of talk around campus at the moment about Surface magazine. So we've asked some people in the Queens community how they feel about it.
I don't like it. It's derogatory. I don't think it's a good funding for the arts and science monies. It's actually quite dumb. What they have to say is not relevant. It's basically a lot of hot air.
I think that free speech is the most important thing, so that these views are completely valid and they should be able to publish what they want in the magazine. Anyone's free to submit anything they want to Surface. So I think that, you know, if people really feel that strongly, there should be a referendum, but I believe in free speech.
I think Surface serves a really good purpose on campus, and I don't think it should particularly be changed. Maybe the mandate of it representing ASUS should be changed, because there's a lot of problems with that. But personally, I don't have a problem with what they print. I think what they print is important, and I think the type of house is really important and good for this oh-so-conservative white-collar campus.
No, I didn't read it, but I heard enough about it. Yeah,
So
seen
do you
enough.
have an opinion about Surface?
Well, I just think that they're not very careful about what they print, and I don't think they really care a whole lot about people's feelings. It's like a lot of backlash. And if they're trying to, you know, make people more understanding on campus towards, you know, homosexual rights and that, then they're not really doing a good job, because they're just creating a lot of people getting really upset. I think they're going against their own purpose, so.
I like some of the female poetry in Surface magazine. Although there were some kind of disturbing article or disturbing poetry that was in Surface magazine recently, particularly the how to something a white boy. I found that very disturbing.
Well, they certainly make their point on certain issues. I just find it very offensive to sit down and read it, just in the way that it's presented with the language that they use. And I think that takes away from their point, because that cuts out a lot of readers by doing so.
It's certainly enlightening. I don't find them offensive, but I say tone it down, because some people will find it offensive. A lot of the stuff in there isn't necessary at all.
For shock value.
It has to be for shock value. I'm serious, yeah. Because, I mean, why would you? I remember one issue now. Thank you for pointing it out to me. Why do you need 2 pages to say, I am what? I am a something lesbian survivor. But that's fine if you're a lesbian survivor, but why does it have to be this big over 2 pages of paper, you know? Think green.
If I object to something that is written in Surface, I'm immediately labeled as a homophobe or a racist or whatever. I don't think that's necessarily correct. I believe in the free speech and the free transmission of ideas, but to a point. I think Surface crossed that line.
No, except that I consider myself a feminist, but I don't think that I should have to be anti-male and be so radical to reclaim that title. And I think that that's what they demand.
I think it's an interesting opinion. I think that it would be the campus would be less interesting if Surface wasn't around.
I basically agree with him. That's all I have
And
to
so,
say.
Surface continues to generate controversy on Queen's campus. Studio Q, this is Fiona McCauley reporting.
Naomi Wolf, the author of The Beauty Myth, spoke last Friday at KCVI to a large group of Queen's students and Kingstonians. Sharie Ross was there.
Please join me now in welcoming Ms. Naomi Wolf.
Naomi Wolf is now crisscrossing the continent to extol her message to supporters of mainstream feminism, filling KCVI to capacity last Friday night. Wolf argued that women in society were facing a backlash in feminism,
which is using an increasingly rigid and extreme and unnatural ideology about beauty as a political weapon against women.
Wolf, author of the new book called The Beauty Myth, stated that over the last 20 years, 2 distinct things have happened. Women have gained legal rights over reproduction, and they have entered new jobs and professions. But at the same time, anorexia and bulimia have become epidemics.
So it's my argument that these two trends are not coincidental. They are directly causally related to one another.
Wolf argued that as soon as women move up the socio-economic ladder, images of beauty weigh upon them as a way to undermine their self-esteem.
I think that
Wolf also referred to the criticisms about her book and clarified the misconceptions of it. She says that the book does not attack beauty.
So beauty, lipstick is not the enemy, right? What I am attacking is
her argument was directed against the ideology of beauty. Wolf coined the term anorexic pornographic generation for all those who are 40 and younger. She explained that our generation has grown up with images of what is sexually perfect.
And we internalized these years before we had a chance to discover and explore and investigate our own wonderful, imperfect human sexual selves.
It is her argument that these images of beauty have constructed our sexual identity. We, as subjects of the beauty industry, have been conditioned to believe that unless we are as thin as Cindy Crawford or Claudia Schiffer, we cannot be sexually beautiful. Naomi Wolf told us otherwise.
Some women score 2-to-1 over unnaturally thin women on, quote, scales of erotic readiness and excitability.
For Studio Q, I'm Sharie Ross reporting.
As a high school graduate, choosing a university can be a very frustrating yet exciting experience. Queen's High School Liaison program is designed specifically to aid students in making this choice. Nicholas Johnson has more.
Even if you have to skip a class or skip a day at school, pick the right day to skip and go.
A campus tour is perhaps the most influential factor in helping high school students choose a university, in helping them get a feel for it or a vibe. And picking a university is obviously a very serious decision. Thousands of dollars, 4 years of life, lots of effort and stress. By coming to visit Queens, students get tons of brochures and pamphlets, they get the chance to see the residences, and most importantly, they get to check out the students and how they interact. They also get honest advice from current students.
University is what you make it, okay?
It is really easy to schedule yourself for a campus visit. Queens Secondary School Liaison organizes one every day. On top of simply walking around, looking at the buildings, tour guides give a hands-on feel for what future students will encounter daily. And they certainly don't shy away from the realities of what goes on here.
This is who's cute and who's really cute, okay? This is where people kind of come. Most people tend to hang out here. The cafeteria, this is known as the Hill.
The tours and brochures are supposed to give potential students a feel for what it's like to go here, sort of a day in the life. Although that's really hard to do in a single tour or just a few hours, students are certainly more informed than if they had not come at all.
So, by the way, if you didn't know this, in 1976, they held all the sailing events for the Olympics that were in Montreal. Were all held here.
But what is it like to go here anyway? What is that feeling or that vibe? Is there some consensus as to what it's like to be a student at Queens? A sense of freedom, maybe, or a sense of anger? Certainly that's a difficult question with no single or easy answer. Catherine McNeil, though, a secondary school liaison, thinks it's a sense of belonging.
We want them to have a fair idea of what it's like to be a Queen's student. And so they go in and they sit in on classes, they participate in classes, they go into the residences, they go into the cafeterias, they go into the phys ed center, they interact with the tour guides who are current students, so they get a fair idea of what it's all, that community, that sense of belonging that's so important of being a Queen's student. And that's the message that we hope that they get by the time they leave. And I think most of them do.
Mm-hmm. For Studio Q, I'm Nicholas Johnson.
Hi, Dan. Hi, I'm Studio Q. What's Studio Q?
This is Studio Q.
Hi, I'm Kirsta Teague, and thanks for tuning into Studio Q. We're upstairs right now in the JDC.
Queen's University hasn't seen a street party like this since October homecoming in 1987.
Saturday saw the Queen's Players. Some of you may have noticed an unusually high number of commies on campus this past weekend. Yes, ICBC, the
For only 50 cents, you can put your finger on the pulse of Queen's University. Just drop by VIDS in the hall to relive your moments of televised glory on Studio Q.
VOAIESEC, yet another acronym here at Queen's, is a program that allows students to get involved in the community. With more, here is Juliet Knapton.
Well, then you understand it so you don't think it's strange compared to your culture.
On Monday, public school students from the Kingston community came to the John Deutsch University Center to participate in ASUS's first international fair. Displayed here were projects they had been working on with Queen students for 6 weeks. They came to participate in a variety of internationally oriented games. From the International Family Feud, where they could display their new knowledge, to a world map puzzle, country Pictionary, and a game called You've Got the Whole World in Your Hands, with an egg and spoon. Susie Lee of VOAIESEC explained that
this is what internationalism is all about, I guess. Educating, learning, having fun.
included among the activities was an African display that gave kids a hands-on opportunity with another culture. One parent commented,
As a parent, I think it's marvelous that university students are taking an interest in younger children and sharing with them perspectives that will actually broaden their view of the country they live in and the world which they'll be a part of.
The day ended with handshakes, participation awards, and maybe a more open view of others. As Sir James Denard said in the 19th century, minds are like parachutes. They work best when they are open. For Studio Q, I'm Juliet Knapton reporting.
Well, Ron, I know that there was not a story on your phys ed formal, but I mean, I felt for you. Did you have a good time?
Well, it was a great time, I'll have you know. It was an awesome time, as I'm sure the Commerce formal was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what about those giveaways, huh?
This week we have very good giveaways. We have one $40 gift certificate to Crossings, men's clothing store downtown, and two $10 gift certificates to the Soapberry shop downtown. So this applies to the Thursday show only, and the first 3 people to call...
This is my line. 545-6699. Yes, 545-6699.
will win these prizes.
Yes. So get out. Go and be joyful and active. Spring is here. It's coming. And you can start wearing shorts and stuff and get all muddy and, yeah.
And we'll see you next week. I'm
See ya.
Teague.
And I'm Tite.
Bye.
Studio Q, Queen's weekly television show, is brought to you courtesy of Cablenet 13 and the Queen's Alma Mater Society. Tune in each week, Thursdays at 6 and Fridays at 4:30 on Cablenet 13.